The 192nd edition of the Roy's Boys podcast starts right now.
Carolina basketball family is the strongest there's ever been. There ever will be.
Eight up freehand, King likes the ball. Pushes into Hubert Davis. 8 seconds. Davis trying to get free. Over to Fox. Fox, baseline. Up for the shot. Good! Off the glass! Oklahoma calls timeout, but the game is over! The game is over! Carolina has upset number 1 Oklahoma! Been ready on his second attempt. That one is no good! They battle for it. Loose ball. Recovered Marvin. He scores!
With 20 seconds left to play, goes back to Michael Jordan. Jumper from out on the left. Good! 63, 62, 13, 12, 11. Georgetown with one timeout. Brent Brown looking. Throw away to Worthy. 35. The Tar Heels are going to win the national championship. Carolina with foul. He takes the timeout. Technical foul. Technical foul.
Brown gets it into Williams. Here comes Williams front court. Williams on the drive. Gets it back out the head. Long outside shot. Short rebound. It's over. And how about the Tar Heels? They are the national champions.
The Tar Heels are the national daggum champions.
And that's what it takes when you big time games. You got to compete. You do it with your brain, and you got to do it with your heart too. And that's pretty doggone good.
From QCBroadcasting.com, this is the Roy's Boys podcast with your host, Josh Marlowe. Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Roy's Boys podcast. We are powered by Carolina Electrical Services. Today I am joined by Go Heels writer and co-host of the Carolina Insider podcast, Adam Lucas. Adam, how's it going today, man?
Great, Joshua. Appreciate you having me.
Thank you for coming on and talking with me today. Let's talk about tomorrow's matchup with Duke. Both Carolina and Duke enter tomorrow's rematch, not certain of their NCAA tournament chances. Does this in any way lessen the importance or the relevance of the rivalry?
I think there'll be some people that will tell you that it does, but I think those same people are the ones who normally try to sell you on the idea that, oh, well, really, Kentucky-Louisville is the greatest rivalry, or USC-UCLA. And we all know that that is just looking for another angle to try to sell. And no, I don't think it will. It didn't lessen it last year when Carolina was down. Tar Heels and Blue Devils still had a great game in Chapel Hill. That didn't lessen it earlier this year when the Tar Heels and Blue Devils were both having a more average season and had a great game in Durham. So it's Carolina, it's Duke. There'll be fans in the building. It'll be great.
When you look back at that first matchup, Caleb Love was sensational, scoring 25 points and handing out 7 assists. What level of confidence should we have that he's capable of duplicating those numbers in the performance again tomorrow night?
Well, how optimistic are you? He certainly has not duplicated it since that game. That performance has been more of the outlier than the other performances he's had. Caleb's just really struggled shooting the ball both from 2 and from 3. As we know, if you've seen any Carolina Duke games, Carolina beats Duke by driving the ball straight at them. And that's what Caleb Love's going to have to do to be successful. If he happens to knock in a couple threes, that would be some nice icing on the cake. But Carolina really needs him to be aggressive and taking the ball to the basket.
Another theme from that game that UNC will try to replicate is their overall shooting performance. They shot 53% from that game back in Durham. Their highest since that game was only 44% in a win over Louisville. What's the key for Carolina to get quality looks at the basket tomorrow night?
Well, I think some of those looks close to the basket have got to go in. There's been a lot of attention paid to Carolina's struggles from the three-point line, and certainly you need Kerwin Walton to have a little better outing than he's had the last couple games. But you also need, for example, Day'Ron Sharpe to convert some of those shots close to the basket. Carolina's just not making enough two-point shots at a high enough percentage based on how important that shot is to their offense. But if Carolina, it's always going to start at the rim and work out, and that's what they've got to be able to do. It'd be great if Garrison Brooks would get off to a good start on senior day in his last game as a Swiss.
Matthew Hurt's been phenomenal for Duke all season long, but is coming off a rather frustrating performance in their loss at Georgia Tech on Tuesday night. In Durham, Hurt only had 7 points and 3 rebounds before fouling out. How does Carolina limit him for a second time tomorrow night?
Well, what they did in Durham was they put some size on him, and they're one of the few teams that have enough size to be able to guard Hurt with someone who he can't just simply shoot over. And I'm sure they're going to do that again, but I also, as we all know, Hurt's a good enough player he's not going to have that many poor performances in a row. He has not been great against Carolina in his career, but certainly he is due.
One thing that's been talked a lot about with Carolina has been their turnovers in the last 3 games. They've committed 60 of them. At this point in the season, is youth or inexperience an excuse for their lack of basketball IQ that they seem to have?
I don't think youth and inexperience are an excuse for the turnovers. I don't know about the lack of basketball IQ. You would need to go back and chart all 60, which would probably be an absolutely horrendous experience for everyone. So many of those turnovers are live ball turnovers, and they're leading to points. That's how Syracuse got, I think, about a third of their offense on Monday night. And that really helped out a Syracuse team that was struggling to score. And Duke's not the potent offensive team that we've seen in the past. You can't hand them, say, 10 live ball turnovers, which pretty easily translates to 15 to 20 points, and expect to win the game. So you're going to commit some turnovers, but you can't just have these, I'm dribbling up the court and all of a sudden you stole it from me and you go in and get a dunk. Carolina can't have that. They don't score enough to compensate for that.
In the Duke-Carolina rivalry, there's usually an unsung hero that steps up and helps one of the teams win. As you mentioned, tomorrow it'll be senior day in Chapel Hill for the Tar Heels. Can we or should we expect either Garrison Brooks or Andrew Platek to help guide the Tar Heels to a season sweep of the Blue Devils?
Well, I think if either one of those two players has what we would consider a notable game, then I think that really bodes well for Carolina winning the game. With Garrison, it really seems that if he gets off to a good start, he has a double-double type performance. So if the first couple of those shots can go in, and often one of them's some sort of turnaround jumper, maybe he gets off to a good start. And with Platek, at some point in the course of the game, he's going to get an open three-pointer or two because he's not the first offensive player the defense thinks about guarding when he's on the court. He's going to get those shots. It would really, be helpful if he could knock down a couple of them.
Roy Williams won his 900th game last weekend against Florida State. He's now one of only 6 coaches to have won 3 national titles and one of 4 coaches to reach 900 wins. Despite his name being on the floor at the Smith Center, is Williams underappreciated by us Tar Heel fans?
Well, today, yes, because everybody's all mad. I think overall, in general, I think Carolina fans have a decent idea of what they've had in Roy Williams. I in no way think they fully appreciate the fact that he came in and won 3 national championships in 13 years. And Carolina's never had that before. And he's done it at a discount. He's done it while loving the University of North Carolina the way all the rest of us do, and you're not going to have that again. It is not going to happen. You had Dean Smith, you had Roy Williams. You aren't going to have Roy Williams Part 2 after Roy Williams. So from that extent, yes, probably is a little underappreciated.
Basketball is a simple game, but Carolina has achieved at making it difficult this season. They beat Duke tomorrow if they do what?
Convert on the shots they want to get, score close to the basket. Other than Mark Williams, Duke isn't equipped to stop Carolina in the post. Carolina's got 4 post players who are better than what Duke's run out there for most of the season. Now, Williams has been better, but it still doesn't really seem like Duke trusts him. If you could get, say, it's probably too much to ask for an FSU-type performance from Walker Kessler, but close to an FSU performance from Walker Kessler, I think Carolina's on the way to winning. You've got to score on the shots that you want to get.
Lastly, Adam, I've never had a chance to experience sweating out Selection Sunday, and there's a chance I could be doing that in a couple Sundays from now to see where Carolina will be playing in the NCAA tournament if they make it the NCAA tournament. You were around back in 2000 where Carolina was the last team to make the field before they went on their eventual Final Four run. What was that experience like as a Tar Heel fan?
Oh, Joshua, I remember we gathered around the Victrola for the selection recording, and we were all very nervous. I don't remember Carolina being super nervous. They had played really poorly that year in the ACC tournament, lost to Wake Forest. Bill Guthridge actually kept Carolina at the site of the ACC tournament to practice them some more. But I think the Tar Heels felt like they were going to get in, and they eventually did get in at either an 8 or a 9. which is pretty safe. It certainly seems like this year could be 9 or 10, or maybe even a little lower if things go badly on Saturday. It's going to be different, but it's already going to be different because we can't all go over to Roy Williams' house to watch the show the way he normally likes to have the team come over. In fact, the plan is Carolina's going to stay in Greensboro no matter what once that final game is over, watch the selection show, and then head straight to Indianapolis. The Tar Heels are not coming back to campus once they leave to go to Greensboro, so that's going to be a long stay away from Chapel Hill, however long they end up staying.
Adam, I mentioned you write for GoHeels.com and you're a co-host of the Carolina Insider podcast. How can Tar Heel fans find your work?
I really appreciate it when they listen to the Carolina Insider podcast. We post the links to all that on Twitter at Carolina_pod, and all the stuff I write on Go Heels you can find on my Twitter at JAdamLucas.
All right, Adam, I just want to thank you for your time. We'll talk to you down the road, man.
Thanks, Joshua. Appreciate it.
All right. And there you go, guys. Adam Lucas from GoHeels.com and co-host of the Carolina Insider podcast here with me on the Roy's Boys podcast. Before we let you go, we do want to get you guys over to the website, HeelToughBlog.com. And we had you covered during football season. We've had you covered during basketball season. We've added another writer and Sarah Wiley to the Heel Tough Blog family. And we've got you covered baseball as well, with Anthony writing week recaps from what the Diamond Hills are doing. So get to the website, HeelToughBlog.com, for all of your Carolina Duke pre- and post-game content. And lastly, we want to encourage you guys to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast. You can find us on every major podcasting feed, most notably Spreaker, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Podcasts. Give us a like. Review me as your host. Review Anthony when he's co-hosting with me. But we want you guys to subscribe. That way you never miss an interview like Adam Lucas today or any other great episodes of the Roy's Boys podcast. So with that, I want to thank Adam once again for coming on to talk a little Carolina basketball. We thank you guys for listening. And as always, go Tar Heels.